Hey guys, I'm Sage Valentine, and this is my review of CBS's Survivor, Season 32, Episode 11, Brains versus Beauty versus Brawn, Kaoh Rong. So, like Jeff Probst said, anything can happen, and I don't know about you guys, but I did enjoy watching tonight's Tribal Council because of the fact that nobody felt safe, everyone felt afraid, like Jeff Probst said, and to be quite honest, that makes a pretty interesting game in my opinion, because I really don't like seasons where people are just like, I'm gonna win, I know it, I got this. No, I want them to be shaking in their boots and sweating under their arms. But as far as this episode goes, I'd be lying if I told you that I was not worried about Ty when he didn't use his immunity idol or that advantage. When he decided to ask Aubrey and Aubrey told him don't use it, I was a little bit scared. I'm like, are they setting him up? Like, what's going on? But when Julia's name was announced, I was like, Ty lives another day. Ty is safe. So, alrighty. As far as this episode goes, of course Jason is salty because his best buddy was sent to jury. And in my opinion, if they are not able to get Jason out next week, Jason is going to skate his way to the end. Some of you guys are probably looking at me like I'm crazy, but at this point, they need to get Jason out next, in my opinion, if they want to be rid of him. Just as in their eyes, Ty is dangerous, Jason is even more dangerous. Well, at least he was up until last week's episode. Now it seems like his power is waning, but just like I said in a previous review, sometimes people who are here sometimes end up right back here, and people who are here end up right down here. And according to the trailer for next week's episode, it appears that that huge alliance begins to fracture, and it looks like at one point it seemed like Michele was kind of venturing towards Jason, and then it seemed like Cydney was upset with Ty because in her eyes, and I guess she glimpsed something that happened because the scene was kind of chopped up, that Ty is basically trying to run things and Cydney's not feeling that. And don't forget, in tonight's episode, she did say that she wanted to get out Ty. She just didn't think that right now would be a good time to get out Ty. Now, unlike Michele, Julia was very upset with what happened in the vote from last week that got Scot blindsided because she was out of the loop. That is not to say that Michele was not upset, but Michele chose to find her way back into the mix, whereas Julia was just sitting back and she's just like, I can't believe that they left me out and they didn't tell me. Of course they couldn't tell her because it was revealed that she's playing both sides. And considering the fact that she went home tonight, it basically blew up in her face. And honestly, I wish that we could find out why the group decided to focus on Julia more than Jason. This pretty much, I wouldn't say solidifies, but it makes me truly believe in my theory that Jason and Cydney have something going on. I don't know what it is as far as an alliance, but it seems like it to me because they were supposed to get rid of Jason, right? Julia went home. Last week, they were supposed to get rid of Cydney. Scot went home. I'm just saying. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but during the edit, when Ty went over to speak to Jason, and it seemed like on the outside they mended fences, it seemed like Ty was probably going to flip. Maybe that's me. However, Jason decided that he was going to plot to whereas if Ty got voted out, that he and Julia were going to eat Mark the chicken. So I'm kind of glad that Julia went home because Mark is safe and Ty is still in the game. To be honest, I hope that Ty stays till the end. I do want him to win, but if he doesn't, I want him to stay to the end so that Mark is safe, because that is a really sweet chicken. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but Mark seemed like he was warning Ty that something was going on by pecking him. Now, there was a reward challenge. Cydney and Michele won this award, and it came down to them picking a third person to go and eat with them. Now, maybe it was the way the episode was edited, but it seemed like Jason thought they were going to pull him over. However, they decided to pull in Audrey, and I was just like, okay, or Aubrey, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. Things are going according to plan. And this is when Michele was able to claw her way back into the mix so that she could secure herself in this alliance. Let me see what she said in my notes. In order for her to get back into the group, she felt like people had to trust her. And Aubrey said that Michele is trustworthy because she proved herself by voting with them each and every time except for the blind side. But I do see why they left Michele out of that. Not to say that Michele was going to run and tell Julia, but they had to be 100% sure. So I'm all right with that. And while Cydney, Michele, and Julia were kind of chilling out, they decide that they have to get out either Jason or Julia. So at this point in the episode, I'm just like, it's one of these two. Hopefully nobody flips and everything goes according to plan. So back at the beach, while the girls are luxuriating and eating their fried chicken, Jason is basically plotting because he does not want to give up. I give him an A for effort on that one, because in this game, no matter what happens, you have to just keep on pushing and keep on trucking. So Jason realizes that there has to be a way into that alliance, and in order to do that, they have to get rid of Ty, and then they can weasel their way inside, and by they I mean him and Julia. So Jason comes up with this idea that he wants to talk to Cydney, and I guess Julia basically ends up pulling in Michele as well, and they come up with this idea that they should backdoor Ty and get Ty out because Ty has that advantage in the idols, and they could basically flush him out, and then Ty is basically asked out and they're safe. Cydney says to us that she's going to do whatever she can to help herself, be it work with the group that includes Audrey, or Aubrey, or I don't know why I keep calling Aubrey Audrey, excuse me, or go with Jason and Julia and Michele. And then it dawns on me that this particular scene could be a red herring edit, and it could be placed in there, or it actually was placed in there to throw us off, to make us think that Cydney was going to flip at this point in the game. I honestly didn't believe that she was going to flip. Like, I don't see Cydney as that sort of player being that foolish at that point. Let's see. So Michele won immunity. Jason still hoped that Cydney and Michele were on board for this backdooring Ty thing. So then the group, meaning Joe, Cydney, Ty, Audrey, and Michele, they all get together and they make a decision that they want to get out either Jason or Julia. But what Cydney and Michele convinced the group is that they're going to go act like they're going with the original plan that Jason had to get rid of Ty. And Ty had every right to be nervous, despite the fact that so far in the game, when these people say they're going to get out a person or one of two people, they end up doing it. But still, I understand why Ty was very nervous. And everything went according to plan because Michele spoke to Julia and told Julia, well, I'm trying to remember, did we exactly see her say anything? Like, she was kind of, you know, a little iffy and didn't really say much, but I guess that was the edit. But I'm assuming she told Julia that they were going to vote for Ty, and then Cydney convinced Jason that she was still on board. And in the end, Michele and Cydney had two options. They could either blindside Ty, go with the original plan, or blindside Julia, and clearly they chose to blindside Julia. Despite the fact that Michele didn't want to blindside either side because she and Julia are close, but like somebody said on Twitter, this game is not about friendships, it's about winning the game and winning money. But it's funny how Jason tried to throw Ty under the bus by saying that Ty had jumped from different alliances, even though he was in an alliance with Caleb and Caleb was medevaced out, and that he's a flip-flopper and they can't trust him. And then he also brought out the fact that Joe and Aubrey are pretty close, but in my opinion, it feels like Joe, Aubrey, and Cydney are really, really close and could get to the final 3. And Michele would be the final 4. But, let's see. As I said before, the whole idol thing was floating in the air. Ty was trying to figure out, should he use it? Shouldn't he use it? He asked Aubrey. Aubrey told him no. And I was just like freaking out, like, oh my God. But as you can see, things turned out well for him and Mark the Chicken. So I'm happy. And Julia didn't seem too disappointed that she was voted out and sent to jury, because she felt like she grew a little bit while playing this game, and she basically has no regrets, and she's proud of the way that she played. So things turned out well for him and Mark the Chicken. So I'm happy. And Julia didn't seem too disappointed that she was voted out and sent to jury, because she felt like she grew a little bit while playing this game, and she basically has no regrets, and she's proud of the way that she played. So until next time, guys, I'm happy with this episode. How did you guys feel about this episode? How do you feel about this season so far, and who do you want to win? Honestly, at this point, I don't know, but I am Team Ty, so, and Team Mark the Chicken. But take care, guys. I love you all. Bye, guys. Bye.